Oh wow, Boba Fett vs. Predator comes out today. I can't wait to see what they do with the characters. Before any of you get on my ass for this, I would like to say, first off, I like this episode. It has some elements that I really like, but it also has some elements that I really don't like. So, and this isn't me being sad that Predator lost, boo-hoo. I mean, I literally predicted that Boba Fett was gonna win. But the way they handled certain things, I think it's best if I explain. For starters, the analysis was actually really good. Boba Fett's analysis was well done, I really liked it, and so was Predator's. There was one thing about Predator's analysis that I was kind of iffy about, though. It was Wiz saying that Predators have natural infrared vision. And while I think that is somewhat true with some Predators, like the City Hunter, and apparently another Predator in the Predator universe, I think it's a bit weird to say, because most Predators have this type of vision. This, to my knowledge, is not any form of infrared vision. This is just straight up red vision, for lack of a better term. So I kind of wish they kind of said, well, while most Predators have just red vision without their masks, other Predators have natural infrared vision without the use of their masks. Something like that, at least. It would have kind of gotten that point across, and I wouldn't have to bring it up here. Yeah, other than that, I really enjoyed the Predator analysis. I really liked them going in depth with the species. Wiz trying to pronounce Yautja correctly when he pronounced it correctly the first time, though, wasn't really that funny. It was just kind of a meh kind of joke. Yeah, that's really all I really have to say about the analysis. I like them going into depth about how some Predators are so good that they literally live for hundreds of years without, like, failing a hunt. And then them using that for, like, their theoretically peak physical condition Predator kind of thing. That was pretty cool. I liked it. Analysis, fairly solid. The animation starts out with Boba Fett landing on some random jungle planet, looking for something. I don't know exactly what it's looking for. Probably just looking for another, like, bounty. Because, you know, he's a bounty hunter. It's Boba Fett. That's, like, his main thing. So, he lands on this planet walking away from Slave One, although it's not really called Slave One anymore, but I don't care. And immediately we cut to Predator's thermal vision. It looks really good, actually. I really like it. It really pops. It really gives you that idea of it being, you know, thermal vision. And after that, we get to see a cloaked Predator hanging in the trees. And this is just such a cool shot. Short and brief, but goddamn, I love it. It is so cool. It's so cool to see a Predator do a Predator thing. Again, fanboyisms aside, it's still a really cool shot. Okay, so I was looking back at the image of Predator seeing Boba Fett through its thermal vision, and I actually didn't notice this until recently, like an idiot, that Boba Fett's armor is giving off a cooler temperature, or like a different lighting than his, like, legs are, because his armor is colder than his body is. So, pretty cool attention to detail there. Again, I'm just geeking out over the fact that it's Predator, and, I mean, Boba Fett's really cool too. I prefer Mando, but I still like Boba. Boba Fett then walks into a bunch of bodies just hanging on trees, and... okay, this is where my first problems come in, or my first problem comes in. The bodies themselves. When a Predator hangs up a body, it normally leaves behind a skinned skeleton or whatever. It doesn't leave the full body behind. Like, you can see it in the original movie when Arnold finds his friend, his dead friend that the Predator caught. The bodies are skinned and they're hanging above like a tree, or hanging under a tree. So, I mean, why do you just show the bodies? I mean, you could make the argument that Predator was about to, but then Boba Fett came in and intruded. But that doesn't really make any sense, because, like, surely he would rather just skin the bodies on the ground and then hang them up, so you wouldn't have to, like, you wouldn't have to, like, get up higher to skin, like, each part of the body. It just seems a bit weird. I'd rather there be, like, at least, like, one skinned body or something. Because that's what Predator does. It's, like, one of his many things. Like, it's, like, one of the many iconic things about Predator. Along with the fact that after a kill, he like, rips out the spine and skull of the thing he's just killed. And then does his victory yell. Again, it's basic Predator knowledge. I know I'm coming off a little bit whiny here, but I really love Predator, okay? It's like it's one of my favorite movies ever. Anyway, moving on. After that, we see the 3 Predator dots lining up against Boba Fett's helmet, and because his helmet has 360-degree vision, he's like, yeah, I can see you trying to do that, and then frickin' dodges a plasma caster bolt, like a total badass, and then he uses his own thermal vision. But he can't see Predator because then Predator appears behind him, to which Boba Fett responds by taking his rifle, using it over his shoulder, and basically shooting the Predator as it jumps to attack him. Okay, the level of badassery these two admit is just so cool in this episode. I love it. Predator then gets up close and personal and shreds Boba Fett's rifle. Kind of sad we didn't see more of it, considering that's like his most iconic weapon, but whatever. Boba Fett then responds by getting as far away as possible and then using his missile on this jetpack, which Predator dodges gracefully, I might add, and responds with an EMP disabling Boba Fett's jetpack. Then we get the Season 9 shot. At least the Season 9 shot, in my opinion. Predator running at Boba Fett with his wrist blades out, ready to frickin' slash Boba Fett. But Boba Fett manages to dodge. And, well, he pulls out his own set of wrist blades, only they're much smaller. I'll let Yoda's quote explain this. Size matters not. That was terrible, I'm sorry, moving on. Pred then does the Preda yell. Kind of weird that he's doing it here in the fight and not later on, where it'd be considered a little more special, but whatever, it's still pretty cool. And then they get into a melee fight, which is actually really well animated. I literally have no problems with this scene at all. Boba Fett then fires off his, like, wire, which Predator catches like a boss, cuts it, and then goes in close. But then Boba Fett, like a boss, uses his knee rockets to push Predator back. And then he fires a missile at Predator, to which Predator responds by catching it one-handed like a boss, and then tanking the explosion. Whoever came up with this specific scene in the fight, give that man a raise, or woman, give that person a raise, because this was a freaking awesome fight. This was a freaking awesome scene. That's what I meant. I mean, the whole fight's awesome, but this scene specifically is just the best part. They get into a brief staff fight with the Predator's combi stick and Boba Fett's Sand People staff, which is brief, but still fairly cool. Predator even gets a stab in on Boba Fett's armor, which doesn't really go that far in, but considering that Boba Fett's armor is made out of Beskar, probably wouldn't have done that much anyway, so, it was still pretty cool. Predator then busts out the smart discs, my favorite weapon of the Predator series, and frickin' throws them with this really awesome shot, but it's brought down by the fact that Pred's dreadlocks aren't animated. They're just sticks, and they're just standing there. The rest of the fight, they're animated, I mean, apart from one other scene, but they're animated. They're, like, flowing everywhere, but here, it's kind of ruined. They're just, like, literally sticks, like, on the side of his head. And that kind of takes away from the scene a bit. It's still pretty cool. Pred even gets to use Boba Fett's own voice line against him, and cuts off Boba Fett's freaking arm with a fantastic silhouette shot. This legitimately does Blake versus Mikasa's silhouette shot better. Because, like, instead of Boba Fett, like, no-selling it, he actually, like, yells out in pain. So, this entire scene with the smart discs, pretty cool. Pred's unanimated dreadlocks, though, kind of drag away from that a bit, but I still love this part. Not as much as the melee scene that came, like, 2 scenes prior, but still, this is still really cool. Pred then does the Preddy yell again, which, again, should have been saved for later on in the fight when he does it for a 3rd time, but, again, it's still pretty cool. It's Predator. I can't not be like, wow, that's so cool. But I really feel like it should have been a one-time thing. It should have been like a special event like it was in like the first movie. And here, it just kind of feels a bit weird here. We see Boba Fett hiding in a tree, and you can tell it's a tree because there are leaves around him. Or, like, you can tell he's in a tree because there are leaves around him. We then see another shot of Predator's thermal vision where he's running at the tree. And then he uses his combi stick to stab at the tree, stabbing through the tree. Don't take a shot for every time I say the word tree. You will be dead in like 3 minutes. Here's my problem with this. The leaves shouldn't have been shown here. Now, like, it should have been, they should have made it seem like Boba Fett was hiding behind the tree. That way, Predator's stab would have been a little more suspenseful because you don't know if Boba Fett has been stabbed in the back or not. Again, that's just me. I feel like it would have been a lot cooler if that happened, because after we see that Boba Fett wasn't hiding behind the tree, he drops a thermal detonator blowing up in a pretty cool explosion, I guess. But again, should have not shown the leaves there. Would have made it seem a little more suspenseful, in my opinion. Pred then proceeds to take off his mask, and for some reason, he already has his plasma scythe equipped. How he managed to get that out in the span of a, like, quick explosion will forever be beyond me, but whatever, it's still pretty cool. Then we get this pretty cool shot of Predator's thermal vision, or of Boba Fett in Predator's thermal vision, holding out a lightsaber, and then he uses that lightsaber to cauterize his own wound. Jeez, this dude is badass. We then get to see Pred's beautiful face and Boba Fett responds with the "You're one ugly mother effer" line. Okay. I think it's time I bring up the voice acting. Now, Predator doesn't have any voice acting because, well, it's Predator. You can use the other guy's voice. Boba Fett, on the other hand, I don't know if it's just me, but his voice doesn't sound like Boba Fett. I mean, the voice actor does a good job, but it doesn't sound like Boba Fett. It sounds more... It doesn't have that New Zealand accent to it that Boba Fett normally does have. It's still fine, but just doesn't sound right, to me at least. I feel like the New Zealand accent is what makes Boba Fett Boba Fett. Also, not really fan of this line. I get it, it's a reference to Predators, and Predators was also a good movie. But it was reference to Predator, and it was a good line in that movie, but here, I don't know, maybe it's just the fact that it's coming out of a Star Wars character's voice or mouth. It just doesn't sound right to me. I mean, hearing Boba Fett drop an F-bomb is just both simultaneously hilarious and kind of puzzling. It's still a cool reference at least. Predator then does the Predator yell for the final time, and this is where it should have been in the scene, in the animation. It should have only happened this time, at least in my opinion. Having it happen to the other two times kind of makes this one seem a little less special. So, yeah. Plus, we get to see Predator's mouth open. Whether that's a good thing or bad thing is up to you. Boba Fett then uses his flamethrower to try and deter Predator, but that doesn't work and he ends up flat on his ass. Predator is then about to deal the killing blow, but... Okay, here we get to the stupidest scene in the animation. And it's so stupid that I use the word stupidest, which isn't even an actual word. So, Predator prepares to deal the killing blow. But the amount of fire around is kind of messing with his natural thermal vision. Predator. He is right in front of you. All you have to do is literally take the plasma scythe and literally swing down. Would that kill Boba Fett? Probably not. Again, Beskar armor can resist lightsabers, which is what the plasma scythe is essentially. But would it have made sense? Probably. Instead, Predator looks around like an idiot, wondering where Boba Fett went, when he is right in front of him on the ground, flat on his ass. It's like... Why? You're treating Predator... You've been treating Predator like a really, smart character. He used the smart discs to cut off Boba Fett's arm in one scene when he knew he probably couldn't get close. And again, Predators aren't dumb. They're smart, and especially ones that have lived for hundreds of years are good hunters. So, why this scene? Why would this happen? It probably wouldn't. It's stupid. Again, it would probably have made more sense for Predator to strike down, Boba Fett realizing he's fine because, again, Beskar stops lightsabers, run away, and then have the fire deter Predator's thermal vision. Having it here when he's about to deal what he thinks is the killing blow would make no sense. Or it makes no sense. Alright, rant over. Next part of the animation.
Okay, so I'm gonna have to be a little quieter this time. My family are upstairs sleeping, and I don't want to wake them. So, Boba Fett swings his lightsaber at the Predator, which, of course, knocks the Predator flat on his ass like he did to Boba Fett. He then activates his detonator to basically self-destruct both him and Boba Fett, classic Predator move, and uses one of Boba Fett's lines against him, which, alright, it was pretty cool, and I liked it. Anyway, the explosion goes off, and it kind of seems a bit weak. It doesn't have the same impact, or it doesn't have the impact I'd like, and the crater left behind doesn't really... It feels more like a couple of tons of TNT have gone off and not really a entire nuke has gone off. It's a bit weak. It could have been a little stronger, in my opinion at least. Boba Fett then walks away completely unscathed from the explosion. Basically further cementing that the explosion wasn't really that large. I mean, they were literally, you could have done it any other way. Either Boba Fett could have, escaped the blast, similar to how Arnold did in the first Predator movie, or Boba Fett could have died in the blast, but because the Predator technically died first, he would be declared the winner. I think the first one would have been better, but, hey, the second one could, cater to my Predator fanboyisms. Anyway, the Boba Fett then walks away back to his ship, which is also completely unscathed. Shouldn't it have been blown up along with the rest of the forest? Because you can see that the rest of the forest is gone. So, Boba Fett's ship should either be, completely damaged, or just flat out disintegrated. it was a fine ending. I just wish the explosion had a bit more oomph to it. And that was Boba Fett versus the Predator. Was this a good episode? Absolutely. I really enjoyed this episode. The animation was really good. There were just a few issues that I really wish could have been kind of ironed out a bit more. Like, honestly, if the episode didn't have those issues, it probably would have been my favorite of the entire season. Well, maybe not. Sun Wukong vs. Hercules is still, like, top 10, is still my favorite. So, what would I give this episode? Well, this episode is a 7 out of 10. The issues do hold it back from being a good old 8, but other than that, I really enjoyed this episode. The analysis was fun. The animation was awesome, and the post analysis was also fun. There were also a few good points I saw about, or there was like a good point I saw about this episode. What if this predator specifically was like an elder bad blood? For those who don't know what an elder bad blood predator is, basically, well, a bad blood is basically a Yautja, or predator, for those who only know the name of the alien by its Earth-given name, I guess. It's basically a predator who doesn't follow the moral code. And that probably would have been a little more interesting to see than a predator who does follow a moral code. Like having an elder predator, a predator who's been fighting for like centuries, but he doesn't play by the rules, probably would have been cool to see. A little bit cooler than the predator we saw in this, but hey, any predator is a badass predator, so yeah, episode's a 7 out of 10. Probably gonna move up to an 8 if I watch it a little more and kind of think about it a little more. So yeah. Those are my thoughts. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Let me know down in the comments. Thank you all so much for watching, and before I go, I want to give a big shout out to a couple of my buddies. Preston Ayars? I don't know how to pronounce your last name, so I'm sorry if I pronounced it wrong. Please correct me in the comments, but shout out to him. He also makes content. He's one of my buddies on the Death Battle fan wiki. And then also the CEO of Pog, who made a trailer for my currently most wanted MU or matchup, which is Kirby versus Superhero Squad Galactus. I'll link that down in the comments below if you want, or the description below if you want to watch it. Thank you all so much for watching. I will see you in the next video. Bye.